If you're running Google Ads and you're not following this checklist, you're probably leaving money on the table. This is the optimization process that we use to take campaigns from break even to highly profitable. And in this video, I'm breaking it down step by step so that you can start using it right now. So the first thing I need to mention is that optimization is where the real money is made, not just in the campaign setup. Google's AI is incredibly powerful, but you need to make the right adjustments and you need to guide it and give it the right parameters so that it can go out and get you the clients, the customers, leads, sales, etc. that you want. And you can absolutely take a Google ad campaign that's performing quite poorly and get to the point where it's performing really, really well, and you can scale it by optimizing it over time. And I know I've polled my audience before and known that optimization is one of the things that Google advertisers struggle with the most. They sort of feel like it's very much guesswork. They don't really know what to do. And that's the purpose of this video. You can just go ahead and follow a proven process. So the first thing you want to do is absolutely make sure that you've got your conversion tracking set up and set up properly. You do not want to be in a situation where you've got conversion events firing incorrectly. That will massively mess up how the campaign optimizes. It could not only hurt your potential to get really good performance, but completely wreck your Google ad campaign. If, for example, a lead or a purchase conversion event is being triggered when it's not actually happening, Google will then optimize those actions. Absolute disaster. So you want to make sure all conversions actions are set up and firing correctly, like I said. Remove or disable any irrelevant or incorrect conversions, a really important part of that. And just always remember that the quality of the data that you give Google likely is going to impact the quality of the results that you generate, and more so as we move more towards a system where AI is doing a lot of the work for us. Step number 2 is to review your search terms if you are advertising on the search network, of course. So you want to go through all the searches that have caused your ads to be shown, and some you'll see are completely irrelevant. You can go ahead and add those as negative keywords. There might be searches that are actually performing really well that you haven't added to your campaign. You can go ahead and make sure Google focuses on those and add those in as exact match keywords, for example. And just watch out. This is a process you want to do repeatedly. I'll give you how often you want to do each one of these things later on. This is something you want to do repeatedly to make sure that Google's AI doesn't get a bit too creative and start putting your ads in front of people that you know are just never going to convert, right? You can provide the guardrails to prevent that happening, and it doesn't take too long to do. Well worth doing. Step number 3 is an asset performance review. And this applies to responsive search ads if you're running search campaigns, but also to asset groups within Performance Max campaigns or demand gen or other aspects of Google advertising. So firstly, take a look at your headlines and descriptions and replace the low performers. The ones that aren't doing well, get rid of those. Add in new ones that you will hope will beat the ones that are performing well. You might stumble across winners that can massively improve performance. Then you can go through the same process with your creatives. Obviously, this applies not really to the search network, but to most other parts of Google advertising, right? You want to replace creatives to try and beat performance, but you also want to do so to keep things fresh. So every 2 to 4 weeks would usually be a typical cadence. We look to introduce new ad creatives, new imagery, new videos to keep things fresh going out to an audience. You don't want the same ads to be put in front of the same people too many times. Results will really drop off. That 2 to 4 week for introducing new creatives cadence is sort of a good benchmark, but you do have to adjust that based on your business. If you're spending a lot, burning through your audience really quickly, you might need to introduce new ad creators every week. If you're just barely scratching the surface of your audience size, you might be able to run with the same ad creatives for months, sometimes even years. That really is dependent on your business, but that's sort of a good benchmark to be at. One of my favorite ways to go about doing that, improving your ad creatives and the creative side of things, is to use influencer or UGC or style assets, videos in particular. They can perform really well. You don't have to do them. You don't have to develop the skills, and it can be a way to massively improve performance. More about that later on. I'll get back to my Google Ads optimization checklist in a second. Before I do that, I want to quickly let you know about my Google Ads mentorship program, where we give you all the support you need to get the best possible Google ad results. And as part of my Google Ads mentorship program, we do full ad account audits. We give you recommendations on how to adjust things to get the best possible performance. We literally have someone available from my team, me or one of my team members, available 10 hours a day, spread across multiple time zones, so that you can jump on whenever you have a thought or a question or something comes up and you want as quick feedback so that you can make an adjustment and get best results as possible. We found that people have joined the mentorship program, have found this tremendously valuable, literally having someone basically available all day to jump on a call with all throughout the week, and it's been able to help them get much better results. If that sounds interesting, click on the link in the video description below, go through to a page on the website, book in a free, no obligation call with one of my team members, and hopefully we get a chance to work together. Step number 4 is to take a look at your bidding strategy and potentially adjust your CPA or ROAS targets. So you should be using a smart bidding strategy. The vast majority of advertisers should be. So optimizing for maximize conversions or maximize conversion value. But once you've got a campaign running for a while, we typically recommend that you add in either a CPA target or a return on ad spend target, depending on which one of those two you are using. Well, when you do that in the initial setup or after a while, you want to regularly go in and take a look at your campaign and think, are we hitting or exceeding our target? So let's say you've set a target ROAS of 300% and you're well above that. That would be a time where we'd look to increase that target ROAS or tighten up the target CPA to help increase profitability. Get a little bit stricter with Google and go be like, we think you can perform better for us, so we're going to encourage you to do so. However, if on the other side of things, if you find that your results are underperforming, they're not hitting the targets, you might want to do the opposite. Lower that target ROAS or loosen that CPA target. Allow Google's AI to have a little bit more flexibility to work it out. You can always look to change it back once the campaign's performing a little bit better. Step number 5 is audience signals and data layering. So you want to make sure that you're adding fresh audiences to your Google Ad account, particularly audiences that Google doesn't have visibility over by default. So think of people on your email list or customer information that you've gathered from another source. You want to make sure that's within your Google Ad account so that Google can choose to remarket to them or use them to create lookalikes, do all sorts of things. The more up-to-date data Google has, the better. You can also look to layer in data around high-value customers. So you'll see that when it comes to the bidding strategy section during the Google Ad campaign creation process, you have the option not just to go with a smart bidding option like maximize conversions value, but also bid more for, say, new customers or bid more for high-value customers or new high-value customers. And that could be a game changer for some businesses where you might have massive differentials in customer value. Some are worth a lot more to a business than others. And you need to say to Google, look, please don't just optimize for the lowest possible cost per conversion, because that's going to mean you're only going to put ads in front of my existing customer base. I need you to go out and get new customers. I want you to go out and get more high-value customers. I'm actually willing to pay more as an advertiser for you to do so. Well, you can set all of that up, many cases where you would want to do that, but in order for Google to be able to do that, they need to know who a high-value customer is. What does that person look like? And you do that by feeding Google that data. We've got a whole video about setting all that up and operating with Google Ad campaign that's optimizing for higher value customers. You can find it on my channel and go ahead and check it out. Step 6 is a simple one. It's budget reallocation. So take a look at your campaigns, take a look at your ad groups, and simply divert budget from elements that aren't performing as well to elements that are performing better. Sounds simple, but it can lead to a significant improvement in results, particularly if some campaigns or ad groups are way outperforming others. You'd be surprised how many advertisers I speak to that haven't done this. You think, well, there's a 20-30% improvement in overall return on ad spend just there. You also want to factor in seasonal shifts and overall product or service trends. So there might be certain product services that sell better at different times of the year. So maybe you want to allocate budget accordingly. That could be a planned setup, or if in your first year, just keep a real close eye out for that and sort of filter in common sense. Or it could just be that there's been shifting dynamics. You know, a competitor's brought out something that's superior to what you offer. So you might want to pull budget away from that until you're able to, you know, create something new that competes with them and then go and spend more, maybe spend some things on other stuff in the meantime. So just simply moving budget around and spending it where it gets you the best results, easy way to improve results. I'll continue with the optimization checklist in a second, but first I want to let you know about Hyros. Hyros is fantastic tracking and attribution software and can really help you improve your Google Ad results. It's a software that all the big players in the industry use, including myself. I use it to track results for my own ads across multiple platforms, including Google Ads, and all my organic results as well, which is super helpful. So if someone, for example, comes through and books a call for our done-for-you services, I can see exactly where that person came from. This is particularly important if you're running ads across multiple channels or generating customers organically as well. Without accurate data, you are flying blind, and knowledge is power. So let me show you how important this is. So I'm here in my Hyros dashboard. I'm going to take a look at the data and the results that Hyros has been able to track and compare those to what I'm seeing within my Google Ad account for the same campaign. So this is a Google Ad campaign that we've been running. We're only looking at data for a few days here, but it really demonstrates what's going on. So you can see Hyros has registered 6 leads generated, a cost per lead of just over £15, 75 clicks. It's just a branded search campaign, hence why the CTR is 30%. So not a huge amount going on, but representative, right? So that's the data we can see within Hyros. If I jump over to my Google Ad account, we look at the exact same campaign, same time frame. You know, we've got May 21st to 27th. You can see a lot of the data matches up, right? We've got 75 clicks, 30% CTR just like before. But if we scroll over, you can see that Google has only registered 3 conversions as opposed to the 6. So it's registered half the number of conversions. And I can tell you, looking at the back-end data, that the 6 from Hyros is the accurate number. And that's why this is so important, because we might look at the Google Ads data and come to the wrong conclusion, think this isn't profitable, turn stuff off when we shouldn't, but we can verify it with the Hyros data and make much better, more informed decisions and end up with better overall ad results because of it. So if you want to improve the performance of your Google Ad campaigns and be able to see exactly where your leads and sales are coming from, go ahead and sign up to Hyros. There is a link in the video description. Step number 7 is location and schedule. So if you're advertising to multiple locations and some are underperforming the average, you might just want to stop advertising to those or limit the budget and spend it where you're likely to see better results. A similar continuation of the previous point. And likewise, you can look to introduce an ad schedule or adjust your ad schedule depending on the results that you see. If you consistently see that there are certain times of the day or certain days of the week that underperform others, maybe set up an ad schedule so you only advertise during the times that are most profitable for you. Another way to get your budget to go further and for you to get significantly better results. Step 8 is a frequency and creative fatigue check. Now, this doesn't really apply to search campaigns, but most of the other types of Google Ad campaigns that involve a visual element, where it's interruption advertising, you think of most of what's advertised as part of Performance Max, your display, anything on YouTube, all sorts. You want to make sure that your ad frequency, so how many times an ad is being put in front of the same person again and again, isn't too high. If not, you're going to run into ad fatigue. If you do find that that's an issue and it coincides with a drop-off in performance, that's where we'd look to rotate creatives more often. So introduce new ad creative, keep things fresh, particularly to that top of funnel audience that's being interrupted, that doesn't necessarily have the search intent. This becomes really important. This becomes more important the more you spend, or if you've got a smaller audience, because that ad frequency density really builds up fast. Okay, so you might be thinking, how often should I do each one of these optimization actions, right? So light checks we do weekly. These would be things like adjusting budget between various elements, taking a look at the search terms report, adding in the negative keywords, maybe adding some specifically as keywords if they're performing well, and refreshing some creatives. Not like a full creative refresh, but maybe adding in some new creatives. Then on a monthly basis, we do a deeper optimization. This is going to include things like bidding strategy, adjusting that target ROAS or target CPA, maybe going after high value customers more than others. This is where we're going to look to refresh audiences, get that data into Google if you've got it in external sources. We might be looking to do a full creative refresh once a month, be a bit more aggressive on getting ads paused and out of there and new ads in. Like I said, that's massively going to depend on the audience. Sometimes you don't need to do a creative refresh for over a year. Other times you need to do it every week because of audience size, budget, and various other factors. But one thing to note on that is that we've got sort of things we do weekly and things we do monthly. We don't have daily tasks. You can easily over-optimize a campaign, be tinkering with things. That just gets in the way, really makes it hard for Google's AI to optimize. You need to let it breathe. You need to let it work out what to do on its end, and you touch it weekly or monthly, depending on the action you're going to take. Now, I briefly mentioned that one of the easiest ways to improve your Google Ad results is to get influencers to create your creatives, your ad creatives, your images, your videos for you. Well, I show you exactly how to do that step by step in this video here. Almost no Google advertisers do this, but it's one of the easiest ways to massively improve performance. It can give you a significant competitive advantage because so few of your competitors are doing it. So if you haven't already, go ahead and check this out.